All right, you guys, I really think that we should cover this in our next episode.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I love this topic.
Yeah, I definitely agree, guys. That's a good topic.
Who the hell is that?
Grandpa Jenkins?
Who?
Who the hell is talking about that?
Hello?
Hi, is this Big Sexy the Heel in BG?
No, this is KFR Sportscast.
What?
What? Who the hell was that?
Sucker.
What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to this episode of KFR Sportscast. I am one of your hosts, BG, and tagging along with me is Big Sexy, and below us, the Heel. And we are 2 straight weeks of talking playoff football here. We're talking about playoffs?
Playoffs.
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 The Giants just want to win a game, and we got to talk about playoffs. The disrespect.
Playoffs? What's that?
All right, guys. So last week,
If playoffs mean off playing off, then yeah, that Giants know all about playing off.
yeah, the Giants are off playing somewhere else.
Yeah, off playing video games on their couch.
Did anybody go perfect last week?
No, I went 2-4.
2-4. I know we all got the Chargers game wrong.
I think I got the Chargers and Bucks game wrong.
Yeah.
I think those were the two I got wrong. I know I had Minnesota losing. I know I had
Okay.
I know I had the Eagles winning. So I think I went 4-2.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 4 games we got right here. We had Philly, LA, Ravens,
I
Bills.
think I was. What were there? 6 games? I think I went 3-3 last week. I think is what I went because I got the Chargers game wrong, I got the Bucks game wrong, and I got the Vikings wrong. Yeah, so I went 3-3. Let's try this again. You know. So we only got 4 games. God, that's so exciting but so depressing at the same time. 4 games left, or 4 games this week, not 4 games left. 8 teams. The best slate is probably Sunday, I feel like. But we got some, all 4 of these should be pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and start with game number 1 on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern between the Kansas City Chiefs, the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, and the Houston Texans. Now, mind you, the last time that these two met in the playoffs was on January 12th of 2020, and the Kansas City Chiefs won that game 51-31, and that was when Houston had a 24-0 halftime lead that year.
Yep, that was the start of the era we live in. Yeah, this game, interesting enough. Listen, Houston, they took a lot of heat over the way their season finished off in the regular season, but they took the Chargers, and they took all the Chargers' missed opportunities in that game. Let me start by saying that the Chargers had a lot of opportunities early in that game to put their foot on their throat, and they didn't. They blew so many opportunities, so much missed. Only came away with 6 points in that beginning spot there, and Houston took advantage of that. And Houston has a little more has life in them that we thought was gone. And I think they bring an interesting matchup to a Kansas City team who, as I've said a dozen times this season, does not look all that threatening. Yeah, they got an extra week's rest off. They got all this rest off. Does that make them rusty? I don't know. It's a challenging game to pick, in my opinion. Like, to me, probably initially I would have said, Kansas City easy, but they haven't been playing their brand. They haven't been playing the brand of football, at least the one that existed the few years before this. Houston does have their momentum, but I don't see them coming into Arrowhead. Kansas City's going to at least make this AFC Championship game and get their game against Buffalo or Baltimore. Houston is a great story. I think seeing them here in the top 4 of the conference every year is something to probably get used to, especially once they get the rest of their roster healthy, etc. They could actually be something more to mess with. I'm going to pick against them again this week. I'm going to take Kansas City.
C.J. Stroud definitely stepped up in that last game against the Chargers. Proved why he's going to be the face of that franchise going forward. And then it's like Jake said, the Chargers had a lot of missed opportunities, costly mistakes, cost them. What did Herbert throw, like 4 interceptions? Really uncharacteristic game from Justin Herbert right there. As good as the Texans looked like this past week, I just don't see them going into Arrowhead and beating Kansas City as much as Kansas City hasn't looked like themselves this year. But with them not looking like themselves, they're still 15-2. So, I know a lot of those, their defense kind of carried them a little bit, but, good teams find a way to win close games. And that's what Kansas City's pretty much done all year. I think this one is going to be close, but I'm leaning towards Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes making his how many ever in a row straight AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I agree with that. So these two teams obviously played earlier this year. They played a few weeks ago, just before Christmas, and Kansas City won that game 27-19. And that was a game that I think that was probably where Houston really started to kind of come back up as far as how they'd been playing, because DJ Stroud's sophomore year, his sophomore slump, hasn't been as drastic of a slump as we've seen some quarterbacks take. So I do think this will be a very good game. This is going to be a great game to kick off, the divisional round weekend. But I am going to take Kansas City again, just like you guys did, and I think they win the second matchup of this year. As you both stated, even though they haven't looked good, they're still finding ways to win. And that's what winners, that's what winning teams do, is they find a way to win, no matter who they're playing against. So yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City as well in this game. All right, the next game up we have is the Washington Commanders going into Detroit, play the number 1 seed Detroit Lions. So we got both number 1 seeds playing on Saturday. This matchup goes back between these two teams all the way to 1932 between Washington and Detroit. And Washington holds this series 31-16. 3 postseason appearances between this matchup out of the 47 times that they've played. And the last time they met in the postseason was 1992. Oh, sorry. Nope. 2000. Nope, it was 2000. And an NFC wildcard game. Sorry, a lot of babbling there. Which Washington won 27-13.
Yeah, they didn't play the Washington Commanders.
They did not.
They played some other team that is sharing their history for some weird reason.
Yeah.
With a pigmentation issue that they.
Yeah.
It was the Redskins. I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't care.
They played the Washington Censored. All right, that's what they played.
I'm not afraid. They played the Washington Redskins.
Washington redacted.
Oh my gosh! Oh, gasp!
Oh God!
Oh, he said it. Anyway, canceled. Done. You're done. Before you even get off the ground, you're done. Yeah. So, man, I tell you, this is. I really feel like this is going to be a fun game to watch, because both of these offenses are electric, man. Jaden Daniels is just a phenomenal player. Like, he is. He's just, he's just phenomenal with the football in his hands. Whether it's throwing the ball, running the ball, this kid can do everything. He's definitely turned that franchise around 180, and in the right direction. It's like almost reminiscent of C.J. Stroud last year. It's like damn near identical. How the trajectory of their respected franchises have changed. And it's like almost a carbon copy of their rise to it. Now, granted, last year C.J. Stroud won his division, and Jaden Daniels ran into this Eagles team that has Saquon Barkley and didn't win the division, but still made the playoffs. But the similarity is they both made it, won a playoff game, made it to the second round, and went in to play the 1 seed of that year's playoffs in their conference. So it's just a little ironic thing just to happen a year later. They say history repeats itself, and history is like kind of repeating itself again. in a different way. Anyway, enough rambling. As far as the game goes, I think as competitive as Washington probably will keep this game, I just, man, there's just something special about that Detroit Lions team this year, man. There really is. It's just, it's just got destiny written all over it. And yes, they've dealt with injury bugs here. They've dealt with injury bugs there. They're supposed to be getting David Montgomery back this week. So that's going to be a good addition, to help Jahmyr Gibbs in that backfield take some of the pressure off of Jared Goff. I feel like Detroit's still going to win by like 10, but it's going to be one of those games where the score is not going to tell how close the game actually is going to be. Like, I feel like Washington is going to compete in this game. I just think that Detroit's going to win and play on to the NFC Championship.
Detroit may be on the start of a generational run, I think, where they can just kind of – they're always going to be like around the NFC Championship game if they're not making the Super Bowl. And it made me envious because I'm sitting here and I'm just like, man, I remember I felt this way about the Bills in 2020. And I sat there and I'm like, I'm jealous because you get to play in a conference where you don't have to beat Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl every year, which is the most annoying thing in the history of the universe. But this team is bound to win a Super Bowl one of these next, I want to say 3 to 4 years. It's going to happen. Could it be this year? Very well could be. On the other hand, Washington with Jaden Daniels, they are a team that's going to be competing a lot down the line here. And this year probably is not their year. Again, like 3 or 4 year stretch, they could be in an NFC title game. They could be that year. Everything goes right for them for this game. They could get there. I don't think it happens. But I think they got the best shot. As best a shot as either the Rams or the Eagles could offer this Lions team too. This is going to be this neck and neck with Buffalo and Baltimore, in my opinion. It goes for game of the week. This game, this might be one of those 34 to 31, 42 to 38 kind of games. And that's no shitting on their defenses. These offenses are just too good, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining fireworks game. Give me Detroit here. But let me tell you, Washington's going to hang in there, man. And there will be a point somewhere in that game where you believe Washington's going to win this game. But give me Detroit.
With this game, first of all, if you guys watched my one-on-one with BG episode, right? Congrats to the Washington Commanders. Great team. I mean, that was not an easy game going into. But Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, they have found themselves a gem with Jaden Daniels. He is a fantastic player. The sky's the limit for that kid. That's just a well put together team. And yes, very reminiscent of the Houston Texans last year. But I do gotta say, Lil Jake, it's gotta suck to go from having to be competitive with Tom Brady all those years, and then now you gotta deal with Patrick Mahomes to try and do something.
It's never ends.
Yeah.
Never ends.
At least the initial period, it's like the Bills weren't great, so it was just like, Tom's dominating the division, but it's like, we're putting out guys like EJ Manuel and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Still love you, Fitzy, but we're putting out guys like that, and more so, this guy is literally blocking your generational, once in a lifetime quarterback from winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, as much as I would love to see Washington and like the NFC and like kind of have them be like that Cinderella story, I don't think they will. Detroit did get that extra week off, right? So a lot of those injuries, obviously, Big Sexy said that David Montgomery is coming back. I think they also have maybe a couple other pieces that are coming back this week. Playing in Detroit is not easy at all, especially for the postseason. But I feel like this game could be very reminiscent to the Bucks-Lions game last year, the divisional game. If you guys remember that, I mean, that was a very electric divisional game last year, and so I think this kind of has that same quota to be that kind of game. Ultimately, Detroit's going to end up in the NFC Championship, but this is going to be one of those games where the score doesn't show how good the game is. It actually, just like Big Sexy said. So go ahead and give me Detroit to win this game. Moving on to our Sunday slate. Our first game at 3 p.m. is the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. The last time that these two teams met in the postseason was 2002 when the Rams were still in St. Louis for a NFC Championship game. Yeah, they played this year in November, and Philadelphia won that game 37-20.
Yeah, I had a feeling, last week that the Rams were going to pull it out against the Vikings. Just because I feel like the Rams outmatched, the Vikings in certain aspects of their game. It's kind of hard to outmatch this Eagles team right now. Although they did kind of look a little flat, against the Packers last week. I think that was just more Jalen Hurts shaking the rust off than anything. But they're a good football team with a very good defense. They're going to figure out a way to win this game again, and they're going to be moving on to the NFC Championship game. I don't expect anything less, and I hate to say it because we all know how much I just adore the Eagles, and I say that with the utmost sarcasm because I don't. I got to call it how I see it, and this is the Eagles are a good football team, and they have a lot of pieces on all three phases of the game. So give me the Eagles to win this game. I think the Rams do keep it a little bit more competitive than that last matchup, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles opened it up and just walloped them too. I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me. So yeah, either way, blowout, not blowout, Eagles are going to win this game.
I am going to go the opposite route here, Jake. I think the Rams stand a good chance to
Don't you fuckers do this to me again. Don't you put me on a fucking island picking the Philadelphia Eagles again. No. What do you folks pick the Eagles?
I like the Rams in this game. The way they manhandled Minnesota, the way they just put it to them, they had no fear, and they took care of business, and I was wrong. And this offense is amazing. And so is Philadelphia's. They definitely can be when Saquon gets going. But I don't know what it is. I can feel Stafford and Goff in the playoffs part 2? I can feel it again. These teams are bound to bump noses with each other for the ongoing years until Stafford calls it quits. I don't know what it is. To me, Philadelphia does look impressive. But to me, I feel there's going to be some kind of perpetual upset in these rankings. And to me, because Baltimore Buffalo can't really call an upset. These teams are like evenly matched. With this game, this is the game that many people would say they feel Philadelphia is a lot better. I want to take the Rams here. I'm a believer in the Rams for this game. I'm taking them in this game to go to Detroit and have another banger with good old boy Jared Goff and the Lions over there.
God, I hope you're right. I will happily be the only one picking the Eagles and be wrong in this game. I would love that. I would love nothing more than to see them fail. I would love it.
You know what I'm excited about for this game?
What?
Cooper DeJean on Cooper Cup. That's what really gets me going. That's what I'm most excited for.
Cooper on Cooper, right?
So it's 2 Coopers, 1 cup.
2 Coops, 1 cup. That's right.
2 Coops, 1 cup. Only one.
1 cup. Just one.
Oh god, we gotta make that a shirt. We gotta brand that.
2 Coopers, 1 cup.
2 Coops, 1 cup. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, LA has been, they've had their ups and downs. They obviously gave Buffalo a run early in the season, right? They put it to the Vikings, for the second time this season. I think Big Sexy's right. I think, that game last week was kind of just Jalen Hurts maybe knocking the rust off. I wouldn't be surprised though that if this was a game that ended up like the Buffalo LA game or the Detroit Buffalo game, just like super high scoring because they're just throwing it out there. I'm going to take Philadelphia. With Big Sexy, so he's not the only one.
Thank God. Don't leave me on that. Thank you for not leaving me on that Philadelphia island alone.
I got to get a game up on
me on the phone, Mom. Come get me. I'm scared. Mom, come get me. I'm scared.
So I wouldn't be shocked if LA won. I think, if Philly wins, I think this is going to be a close game. I think Philly wins by, a field goal, a one score thing. I wouldn't to me, this has all the potential to be an overtime game. So this has all the potential. These next two really have the potential to be like an overtime game to where we can see like those new overtime playoff rules. But
really fun to see it.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Philadelphia to win. But, with everything that's happening in LA right now and happening in California, right? So these guys are probably playing for something much bigger than football at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if LA won. And if they did, yes, seeing Matthew Stafford and Detroit go at it again would be phenomenal, especially for like an all-out, because last year they played, it was a wild card, right, or something like that.
Yeah, wild card.
Right. I mean, so for all the marble, you can't write up a better story than that. But give me Philadelphia to win the game. All right, and our last and final game is the Ravens going in to Buffalo to play the Bills. These teams have only met a total of 12 times, and only one of which was in the playoffs, and the Ravens only scored 3 points. So yeah, Big Sexy?
Yeah. I definitely feel like it's going to be a different outcome, no matter who wins or who loses, than the game that happened between these two teams earlier this year. I think that Buffalo is a much different team than they were then, and I think Josh Allen is just playing like out of his mind. He's just playing out of his mind. But so is Lamar. I mean, I have to give Lamar credit. Even though like he does have the far better supporting cast than he definitely is deserving of his MVP candidacy. I will say that he's definitely deserved to be considered for the MVP this year. I fully support the candidacy. To me, this game is going to determine who should really be rightfully called MVP. This game here, and both both of these defenses. The Ravens have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, but haven't really lived up to their full potential as a defense yet. Now they showed a lot of promise in maybe getting back to that potential last week against the Steelers, but this is the Steelers that we're talking about here. So they're not, as of late, they're not exactly known for offensive mastery, so to say. Regardless, Baltimore did look good against them last week. And Buffalo, and in that game against Denver, that opening drive, Denver went right down the field. Bo Nix had a really, really beautiful pass, to score the game's first touchdown. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a fucking thriller of a game. And Buffalo just proceeded to not let them score the rest of the game and just completely shut them down. And it was like, okay, well, that was not what I was expecting to happen, and then they just played at their brand of football. Josh Allen was doing Josh Allen things and what have you. This game is going to be very, very close. This is going to be the game to watch this round in the playoffs. I am very much looking forward to this game. I think that the Buffalo Bills find a way to win, and we get that, next chapter of the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes rivalry. And I think that, I really think that it's going to come down to Josh Allen leading that offense and winning the game. I think it's going to be like a last drive type situation. Buffalo's going to be down late. Josh Allen drives the ball down, scores the game-winning touchdown. Hell, I'll even predict the play that he does it. He runs it in. I'm going to say he runs it in last game, Last drive of the game, touchdown, Bills win, go on to the AFC Championship game. There you go.
So you know how we were talking about history repeating itself earlier?
Yes.
Everybody remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That happened.
What if I were to tell you the Ravens win a Super Bowl every 12 years with a 28-year-old quarterback?
I saw this thing earlier.
Did you?
I saw this earlier.
In
Oh, my
2000, they
God.
won with Trent Dilfer at 28 years old. In 2012, they won with Joe Flacco, 28 years old. And Lamar Jackson in 2024 is 28 years old. Coincidence?
Probable.
Coincidence? I think not. I'm taking Buffalo. I don't. I'm taking Buffalo. There's no. I just thought that was hilarious. I don't like to play into those things.
And we all know who Jake's gonna pick.
Yeah.
He's gonna pick the Ravens. Duh.
I went ahead and said that because now that's all I'm going to think about when I'm watching the game now. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, but seriously, this game is these next two games potentially for Buffalo are like the biggest games, right? Obviously every game is a big game in the postseason. Last week I thought it was going to be a closer game, and I was right until just after halftime. I saw it come out of the break. I was like, 7-10. I was like, oh yeah, man, I was right. And then Buffalo went up 13-7. And then got the ball back, and I'm like, yeah, this game's over. They're just going to keep running up the score. I was like, oh, there goes my... And that's when I texted these guys. I was like, yeah, there that goes. But no, I think, this game is going to determine really who should be the MVP. I mean, I think everybody's already pretty much voted, though, for the AP, MVP and everything. So I think this will determine... really who should have won it. I think Josh Allen is playing great. Obviously, there's the advantage of playing at home. Playing at home is always good, and it's always great to have home field advantage in the playoffs, unless you're Tampa. So give me Buffalo to win this game narrowly. I think it's going to be some sort of last-second score. Like I said, I mean, this has all the potential in the world to be an overtime game as well with these two teams. But give me Buffalo.
Yeah. So here we are, heart attack season, chapter 2. Last week, that first drive touchdown got us a little shaky, guys, but pulled it together after halftime and everything went smoothly. Kind of what we expect. Here we are. It's our game of the year again. Here we are, every week's game of the year now, and here we are playing Baltimore, the MVP debate all season. And I've gone on record to say I don't give a shit about that anymore. I don't care about the MVP anymore. It doesn't matter to me. Again, Thurman Thomas won the 1991 MVP, and who cares? The Bills didn't win any of those 4 Super Bowls. Okay. Don't care if Josh Allen wins the MVP. I don't care. I don't care. Just win the game. Just win the game. Okay? This is for everything. For everything. Okay? Yeah, Buffalo got their asses handed to them when they went to Baltimore last time. They were missing 7 starters in that game. They were missing Matt Milano. They were missing Taron Johnson. They were missing Terrell Bernard. They were missing Taylor Rapp for most of that game. They hadn't acquired Amari Cooper yet. Von Miller was suspended. There was a lot Buffalo did not have in that game that they do now. And that makes a difference stopping a guy like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the thing, and this is no disrespect towards Lamar, but the number one thing I worry about when playing the Ravens, especially Buffalo's history with him, is Derrick Henry. For so long, I've seen the highlight of him stiff-arming Josh Norman on a play that didn't even count. That's how much they glazed this man, okay? They've never let that go. The play literally didn't happen. It didn't even count. But we continue to see that stiff arm. They've shown that play continuous times, and that's, they always go back to it. And that just defines the legacy of most of the time of what you've seen with Derrick Henry against the Bills. They have to stop that. They have to stop that. Contain him, contain Lamar. That's what you got to do. And, it's just, I really don't know what else to say. You got to check my cardiac condition maybe about 9 o'clock p.m. on Sunday night, and we'll see how I'm doing. But, this should be a fun game to watch for anyone who isn't emotionally invested in either team. Go Bills.
I love it. I love it.
Go Bills!
Bills.
Go Bills! Go Bills!
Go Bills!
Go Bills.
I'm so excited that I don't want to die. Just a little bit.
Great success.
Great success. All right.
Yes, all right.
Yeah. But no, huge slate of games this week. 4 games, 8 teams left. Eight teams left. This is what postseason football is all about, right? So, but those are our picks. Hopefully we do better than we did last week. And as we were talking about it, I did realize
I did great last week. I went 4-2.
I did realize that I did go 2-4 with Lil Jake because I forgot I picked Green Bay over the Eagles because I forgot that we did leave Big Jake on an island in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you left me on Eagles Island, scared and alone.
So hopefully, better week this week. Thank you for tuning into this episode, enjoying. Hopefully you enjoyed our picks and our banter and everything. We appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this video. Make sure that you like, comment, follow, subscribe at KFR SPRTS Cast everywhere. Yes, everywhere. And you can take this on the go with Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Season's almost over. Sad but true. We hate it, but we love the time of year. So with that being said, this has been KFR Sportscast. I am one of your hosts, BG, and with me, Big Sexy and the Heel. We will talk to you guys next week. Peace out.
Big Sexy out.